Hello, it is the end of the year and there are some things that I have been meaning to do that I have been putting off. So today I'm going to do them so that they are wrapped up before 2024 starts. And while I'm doing them, I'm just going to sit and chat with you guys. The first job is to fix the lighting. But these pictures that hang in this hallway are really great, but I don't love the frames. So the first job is going to be to paint them. That were given to us from my in-laws, and it's really nice of them to do that because they're beautiful. They're like these architectural drawings. I don't really know what I wanted to talk about today other than, I don't know, just the passage of time really. This time of year I start to reflect on a lot of things. Sometimes I have these ideas to make these videos when I'm in a more chatty mood, and then by the time I actually get around to making them, I'm in a less chatty mood. This year has been a really big year for me and just life generally. For those who are new around here, I've had quite a few subscribers lately, and I appreciate that a lot. It's kind of crazy to think about what I was doing a year ago, even just a couple of weeks ago, and now there's so many more of you here, which is super nice. I'm Steph. I mostly do architecture, but I also do YouTube. I do lots of sewing. I try to at least. This year has been really hectic. So this year, for those of you who don't know, I was in my final year of my master's, and I've kind of wrapped that up now, which is amazing. But I'm also just at that point where I'm at that sort of period of life, at a juncture where I'm I've finished one big thing and the rest of life just seems quite daunting, to be honest. Now it's just the rest of my life. I think I need to shake this paint a bit more. Back to my reflection on where I'm at. A lot has happened in my life in the last couple of years. This past year, I set myself the sort of aspiration, goal, word, sort of vibe for the year to be connection. And I really wanted that to be connection with my family and my friends, myself and my husband and my relationships. What I found was that I was really struggling to connect outside of myself because I didn't have a good understanding of myself still. In the last 2 years I've been diagnosed autistic, and then earlier this year, missed the spot on this guy, I was diagnosed with ADHD, which often goes hand in hand with autism for women, which you may or may not know. And if you didn't know that, then I welcome you to go and learn a bit more and fill in a knowledge gap that you might have. Having that information really changed a lot for me because I was, still am, still can be an extremely high masking autistic and ADHD. Also, if you don't know what that means, it means that when you are someone who is maybe undiagnosed with these sorts of things, you basically learn the social rules and you learn how to appear as a normal person, but the toll that takes on you is massive and really hard. And so this year, when I set myself the goal of connection with all of those around me, what I realized was that I actually needed to rediscover myself first, because the connections that I had formed so far and the connections that everything was based on, I felt was disingenuous because I was masking so much. I've done a lot of work to tap into who I really am, and I'm feeling way more comfortable with sharing that more widely, not only with just my general friends around me, but being my more authentic self, as people say, in more and more settings. And having the confidence to do that takes courage, and I've been really trying to lean into that. Before I move on to the next project, I'll just wrap up those thoughts. something that's really made a massive difference to me in the past 9 months is that after being diagnosed as ADHD, I started taking medication, and that has been absolutely life-changing for me. So I really encourage you that if you do have the resources and access to a diagnosis and you do want to try out medication, I think go ahead and do that for yourself. I know that there are a lot of people who have different reactions to different kinds of medication and trying to find the right thing that works for you. Luckily for me, I am able to take the minimum dose of like the most standard one, and I cannot believe the difference that that medication has made to my life. I'm very fortunate that that medication was so effective so quickly. Everyone's journey is different. Not everyone works with medication. There are so many other tools and resources out there. I just want to say that if you're recently diagnosed, or maybe if you're long-term diagnosed and something isn't working for you, I would recommend to give yourself some space and time to just figure it out. And it might take a significant period of time, but if you put that in perspective to living until, probably all going to live till we're at least 90, probably 100. 3 of my grandparents are still alive and they're in their 90s, which I think is pretty freaking cool. So we can expect to live till we're 100. If I'm 33 now, that means that I have another 67 years of my life to live with this knowledge, this access to medication, with this feeling about myself that I didn't have before. So if you're kind of thinking, if you're in that process of devouring every single bit of information that you can on the internet to self-diagnose, if you have the resources, if you have the access, if you can get on a waiting list, if you can do whatever it takes to access other support, including medication, then I think give it a go. But also you have to go into it with the acceptance, the pre-acceptance that it might not work for you. So you have to be very open to kind of any possibilities. I was very open to the idea that medication would not solve my problems, and I'm glad that it has solved some of my problems, but it hasn't solved all of them. I'm still maybe even hyper aware of some problems that I had that I didn't know. Anyway, that's been a big shift for me for this year. That's part 1 of this 2023 reflections video. I'm gonna rinse this brush a little bit because I remembered that you're meant to paint with a kind of damp brush. Forgot that my mum taught me that one. And I'm gonna whack a quick second coat on these bad boys, and I'll meet you inside for phase 2. Well, that turned out really well, if I do say so myself. This project also involves a bit of painting, and it's something that I've been putting off for a number of months. Miles and I moved into this apartment in August sometime, and very, very grateful for this apartment. It has a clothesline out on this balcony, but the clothesline is too high. So I went to IKEA and I bought this step stool, which is a lifesaver because it means I can reach the clothesline. But it is just like straight up plain wood, and it needs a coat of clear sealing stuff. So I'm gonna do that right now, and I'm gonna talk about some stuff as well, because that's the theme of this video, is that I'm gonna talk about things while I do things I've been putting off. So let's get to it. Okay, so this is a project. As I said, I've been putting this off for ages. I have had the things to do this with for months, like since August, and I just haven't been doing it because I've honestly been waiting, for an opportunity to film it. And that's problematic because I just kind of wanted to film it so I could put it on YouTube, and I think that that is problematic. I have been on YouTube for, I don't know, I want to say like 3 years or something, kind of inconsistently. And it's only in the last few months that I've really sort of picked it up. And I'm glad that I did because I really enjoy making videos. That's also part of me, like you'll remember part 1 where I talked about sort of connecting with myself again. YouTube is a way that I can do that because, I don't know, when I watch myself back, I like to feel like I'm being authentic. Because as an autistic person, I struggle with people that are not genuine. Yeah, I've been putting this off and I feel really dumb about it. And it's problematic because in this world of social media, YouTube, whatever, so much of our lives is spent looking for content, creating content. There's just that phrase that gets used so regularly these days. Content creator, user-generated content, creator studio, creator. Like, there's so much pressure on every part of our lives to be content worthy, to want to invite people in, to watch us kind of just do stuff. And honestly, like, I know that I'm feeding that beast. I am absolutely feeding that beast by being one of these people on YouTube who films themselves doing stuff. I just really hope that at least part of it connects on a human level to show that no matter who you are and how you are in the world, that there is space for you to be. That being said, knowing that I am contributing to this machine, this beast, this algorithm, all of these things, it means that I hold myself back from doing the things I want to do because I know that I'll want to create content out of them, and that is problematic. That is a problematic mindset to be in. Hopefully next year and in my future videos, I really want to try and create content. Yes, definitely, I want to be here, create content and share these activities and stuff with you. But I know that I need to also focus on creating for myself. And hey, if you need to give yourself permission to do that also, if you feel like you're existing on Instagram, on any sort of platform, if you feel like you're existing there and you're creating purely for the benefit of others and not for the benefit of yourself, if you don't get any enjoyment out of it, reassess the motivation behind why you're doing the thing, and then reassess completely if you want to actually be doing that. That's what I've had to do with myself in the last couple of months. I set myself a very ambitious content schedule for the end of the year. I mostly hit it. I was pretty proud of myself for doing that, considering I had uni as well. But what I realized was the videos that I really want to make, I'm just going to make them anyway. If I am making content purely because the algorithm says that it's a good idea and it doesn't resonate with me on a deeper level, then I know that that's not something that I need to create. I need to create something different. The other thing that I have been thinking about, maybe it's because linguistics reels are making it into my explore page, and I'm not bad about it because I'm always quite intrigued by linguistics. One thing that I'm very, very intrigued by at the moment is this phrase, content creator. And content is the same word as content, yet they have massively different meanings. Thanks plane, thanks bird for interrupting me. And so as I was saying, if you're creating things that are not making you happy, you need to reassess your relationship with whatever that thing is that you're creating. Because not only should you be able to create content, you need to be also able to create content. Content does not equal happiness. Those are different things, very different things. One thing that if you're kind of having a weird relationship with social media and stuff, as we all are, think about if it's making you content. Yeah. That is something that has been on my mind for a considerable period of time. And I wanted to talk about it, but I wanted to talk about it while I was creating content. That's problematic. That's problematic. I don't know what the answer is. I really wish that I had done this about 5 months ago. So the next project is to swap out these frames that I have, which are photographs of mine that I took on a trip to Southeast Asia when I was 18 with my best friend Jess. This is in Angkor Wat. This is just in Siem Reap. Or maybe it's in, I actually think this one's in Phnom Penh. Anyway, these photos are pretty ancient. This trip was 15 years ago. 15? What year are we in? 2023? Yeah, this trip was 15 years ago, and it's time to change them out. As I said before, Miles and I moved into this apartment about 6 months ago, not even, August. 4 months ago. We're very lucky in that we were able to buy it. Very fortunate to be in that position. What am I trying to say here? What am I trying to say? Oh yeah, so I wanted to change these frames out because they've just been like sitting on the floor, not being put up on the walls, because I wanted to make them into something a bit more colorful. And then I discovered these like doodles that I did. I did this big one, and I also did these like colorful ones. This is during a period where I was working a lot with my psychologist, my therapist, if you're American in the chat, to work on making some stuff that wasn't perfect, and just sort of doing some like intuitive sort of doodling. I call these doodles. To you, they might look more advanced than doodles, but each person is the captain of their own ship. They're allowed to call whatever they want. Anyway, I don't know if these are going to end up being the final thing that goes in these frames, but these photos need switching out because the vibe in here needs to be a bit more colorful, and these photos are kind of dark. And I also wanted to sort of celebrate the progress that I made this year in terms of my own evolution and my own reflection and my own growth that I have made just from like doing the work. As I was saying in part 1, it's like you're going to spend the rest of your life with yourself. So you might as well make your brain a nice place to be, and you might as well learn to love yourself, and you might as well learn to work through the things that you need to work through and find a way to the other side. I just remembered I left my phone outside and it's still just recording the sounds of the birds. I'll be right back. I'm back. So what I was saying is that, at least for now, these doodles represent a time in my life where I was trying to let go of perfectionism and trying to embrace something that is sort of intuitively creative. It's a time when I came back into myself and remembered how much I love color, and that is a true and authentic way for me to express myself. And so, at least for a little period of time, I want these to be up on the wall. And I think I'm going to put them over on the wall that you can see behind me, that's where my desk is, that's where I spent a lot of my time, especially while I was doing uni, not anymore, hooray. But also, these frames have glass fronts. They're like really ancient IKEA frames. They have glass fronts, and so I'm hoping that the glass is going to reflect a little bit of light into here, because this room can get pretty dark because those trees do a little bit too good a job of shading. It's a great photo, like well done 18-year-old Steph. I'll save them. I'll definitely keep them. Proud of myself. Anyway, these ones come with this border frame. So I'm just going to, oh, you still can't see. I'm just going to keep the frame like that and get my doodle. It doesn't really have an up or a down or a right way or a wrong way around. And I'm just going to tape it in to that border and put the back on. Then for the other side, I think I'm going to need to make a backing track for it. Okay, I remembered what I actually wanted to say. Sorry for all the rambling. Anyway, what I wanted to say was that since we moved in, it's been 4 months. And this kind of ties in with what I was saying before as well. It's like, sometimes I get a bit down because I feel like my house doesn't look the way that I imagine that it would look in my head. That, I think, is another trap of spending a lot of time just being absolutely bombarded with images from other people's lives. Check that out. That's beautiful. Hooray. One down, one to go. And since we moved in, I've really wanted to just do as much as I can around the house to make it feel like a home. Then I came across this one thing. It might have been on Instagram or I don't know, but this sort of little bit of advice that if you're decorating a space, then just take it one corner at a time. And that even though you'll see lots of images of lots of people's houses looking amazing, that it's okay to take your time to furnish your house, and it's okay to change your mind and change things around. And if you just work on one corner at a time, then you can get it looking really nice just over a longer period. That was like really, really reassuring and comforting and relieving for me, because I have just been really wanting to get everything sort of sorted. And so now I'm just taking it one corner at a time. And also what I've needed to do is sort of do a bit of exposure therapy for myself, and that is to have people around in my house when it's not looking 100%. I think that's the other thing that we miss a lot in our society, is that we spend so much time interacting with each other and with our friends via our phones and via digital means, that we're not actually physically with our friends in our homes that much. maybe it's different for you, but at least I don't really have that many people over to my house that often. People don't really drop in, and I think that's because our communities get wider, because we have transport, because we have all of these other ways of getting around now, that our community isn't just our immediate neighborhood. But I also think that there is this pressure to have a really well put together house and don't get to see people living. And as an architect, as someone involved in architecture, I have a lot of opinions about the way homes are photographed for architectural magazines and online publications and stuff. But they always look so crisp and tidy, devoid of human activity, devoid of any evidence of life. And it really pisses me off, because for most people, they don't live like that. They live with some mess around them. They need somewhere to put their shoes and their keys. They need somewhere to put the mail. They need somewhere to put the shopping bags. They need somewhere to put, you know, the TV remote. Like, we don't live in these sterile places. And I think for me, it's a struggle because of the way that I was brought up, and the household I was brought up in is like, if people were coming over, the house would always be spotless if it was a planned visit. And I know that if it was not a planned visit, then my mum would probably have been horrified if someone walked in and like saw the mess of the house. And that's just a natural thing. But I think that it's also good that we normalize lived in spaces. And if your comfort zone is a space with lots of stuff in it, then don't be ashamed of that. And I think that I probably need to take a bit of my own advice in this situation. And not be afraid of having people around when my house is not 100% tidy. Thank you for being here, and thank you for joining me. If you're new, I'm really glad that you joined. I'm feeling better now that I have done these things that I have been literally putting off for several months. Thank you for giving me the motivation to do them. It's funny the impact that having these people that I don't actually know, I don't know many of you, you're just kind of strangers, but you motivate me to do a lot. You do motivate me to do a lot that I wouldn't otherwise do, or at least you motivate me to get there eventually. And my camera just decided to stop recording. Remind me to change that setting. I was saying that I'm really glad that you're here, and I hope that you stick around, and it really makes me inexplicably happy to know that there are people out there who want to watch me ramble on. Genuinely means a lot. I know that a lot of YouTubers say that, but genuinely means a lot to me. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next one. Happy New Year.